Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cam Jennings coming at you on behalf of EpicConversions.com and Index Card Insights. Got a special podcast episode for you today. Let me give you a little context on this. We're going to be talking about. Let me do it like this. A couple days ago, yesterday, I should say. It wasn't a couple. It was yesterday. I emailed my list and I asked them a series of questions. 3 questions I asked them to answer for me, and I asked them to reply back, and I did, and they did, and I got like 10 pages worth of replies for these 3 questions. It was a lot of feedback for these 3 questions that I asked them, and it was great feedback. But what is relevant to this podcast is the third question I asked them. Okay, because the third question I asked my list was, when you look at 2023, were you able to achieve the goals you set for yourself? If not, what do you think was the main issue? That was the third question that I asked my list, and I got a ton of feedback on it. People who were able to achieve their goals, they were not able to achieve their goals, and why they thought they were not able to achieve their goals. When I quantified all the feedback, as I was doing today, I came back with 12 major reasons, 12 distinct major reasons why people were not able to achieve their goals as far as they were concerned. Sometimes people think that their problem is one thing, but really their problem is something else, right? So you always have to consider that, but it really does matter why people feel like they weren't able to complete their goals or achieve their goals, right? So I had 12 distinct things. And listen, I don't have time today on this podcast. It's beyond the scope of this podcast for me to get into every single one of these 12 things. So what I decided I was going to do was I'm going to do a talk for my mentorship program, ECIC group calls. And we're going to go in depth on that call. We're going to cover every single one of these 12 things. Because I have like tips and insights into each one of these things that might be helpful. But today on this podcast, we're not going to go into all 12 of these. All right, we're just going to go into one of these. And the one I really want to talk about today, this is probably the main one. I got more people telling me this was their problem than anything else. And what was it? Well, I'll tell you. But before I do, I want you to consider going over to EpicConversions.com. I got a free offer for you over there that's called 12 Secrets. It's going to teach you secrets and insights about artificial intelligence, right? It's going to give you 12 secrets on artificial intelligence. You're going to love it. It's absolutely free right now for a limited time. It's actually going to go up in cost after this year. So in just a month and a half from now, it's going to go up in cost. So be sure to get over there and get your copy while it's still free. It's called 12 Secrets. Also, over there at EpicConversions.com, you can find a link to my mentorship club. That's ECIC Group Calls Club, right? Now, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, about a week from now. Not tomorrow, but next Thursday, I'm going to cover on that club, inside that club, I'm going to cover all 12 of these problems people are having and how they can overcome them. But today, right here on Index Card Insights, we're going to cover the big one, the one that a lot of people seem to be having trouble with, right? So what is the big one? The big one is lack of focus. That is by far the biggest, I don't want to say by far, I had a few close ones, but this was the most answers I had were lack of focus. Not able to achieve the goals for lack of focus. So what I want to do today on Index Card Insights is give you some tips, some hopefully some helpful advice when it comes to lack of focus. Let's get into that now. When we talk about a lack of focus, essentially, we're talking about, not being able to focus on one strategy long enough to actually get anything done, right? You're going from this to this to this to this to that to the other thing. You're not focused on things well enough to move things forward. So there's a few things I want to give you some insights on when it comes to lack of focus. The first would be this. Um, you know, it's not 100% your fault when it comes to lack of focus. Now, I know that people do blame themselves for lack of focus. And, ultimately, you have to take accountability for your lack of focus. But, imagine this for a second. Imagine, like, you were going outside to check your mail. You have a mailbox at the end of your driveway. So every day you wake up and, you go check your mail, right? Or maybe you do it in the afternoon when you go home from work or whatever. But you go outside to check your mail. And it's no problem, right? You just walk out there and you check your mail. Imagine if you had aggressors. You had aggressors who were against you, hiding in bushes, trying to tackle you and trip you and shoot paintball bullets at you while you were going to check your mail. There was all these obstacles that you had to overcome to get to your mailbox. You know what would happen. I don't have to tell you. Sometimes you'd be successful getting to your mailbox and sometimes you wouldn't. But every day it would be a battle. Every day it would be like a war. It would be much harder. You might even not even try to check your mailbox. You might even give up because you just don't feel like fighting that day. It would be a whole different scenario, right? So what I'm saying is that's kind of how it is when you're trying to succeed online. And I say that because there's a war going on online, and the prize is your attention. Your attention is the prize. Your attention is the prize, and your attention is closely linked to your time, right? And your time is limited. Nobody knows how much time they have, so it's severely valuable, right? Your time is so valuable because you don't know how much time you have, and your attention is closely linked to your time, which means your attention is extremely valuable. Well, all these businesses know that your attention is valuable, and they're all fighting for it. Have you ever been to YouTube thinking you're going to go to YouTube to look something up, but as soon as you get to the home screen, you get distracted by one of the thumbnails, and all of a sudden you forgot what you were even doing there? It's happened to me before. Well, is it my fault for a lack of focus? Yeah, I think ultimately it's my fault. But to think that there are not, entities against you, entities fighting against you, being able to maintain a focus on what you're trying to maintain, would be naive. Because there are entities fighting against you. There are entities out there trying to steal your attention, right? The internet is full of people trying to steal your attention, right? So the first thing I would say to you if you're having trouble focusing is you need to be more aggressive with how you take care of your time and your attention. You need to be selfish with your time and your attention. You need to be militant when it comes to, how you spend your time and how you give your attention, right? It's a big deal. It's not something people think about. Lots of us have been to YouTube, or lots of us have been to Facebook, or lots of us have been to these websites, and we've lost an hour or an hour and a half just messing around. We went there to be productive, but we ended up just messing around, getting in a conversation we didn't really need to be in, or we ended up watching some videos and stuff that we didn't need to watch. Now, just like that, an hour and a half is gone, right? That is our attention that's been stolen from us. And we never get angry with these platforms. We never get angry with these people who steal our attention, right? But I think, sometimes it's not a bad idea to get mad. Get mad. I'm not saying go cuss anybody out, but I'm saying, hey, get mad that you just got your attention stolen. Get mad about it, right? Because when you get mad about it, now you're going to be more conscious of how you spend your time and attention, because you don't want that to happen again. And someone did, in fact, steal your attention. It wasn't just you just decided to just waste your hour and a half watching some cat videos. That's not how it went. You got seduced into watching cat videos. There's been thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of marketing spent on people just trying to figure out how to get your attention, right? What words to use, what pictures to put in there, what kinds of language to use, what kind of experience to present that would pull you in and steal your attention, right? And it's all just to get your attention. So while you do have to accept 100% accountability, don't think that there's not aggressors out there trying to steal things from you, because they are. They are trying to steal your attention. So that's the first thing I would say. When it comes to your time and your attention, you have to be selfish. You have to be very careful. The second thing I would say is that it really helps if you know exactly what you're going to be doing when you sit down at the computer. So what that means for me is I have 3 to 5 things that I write down on a list before I go to bed every night. So my day technically starts before I go to bed at night. The beginning of my day is the night before. That's the first thing I do right before I go to bed, is I write down the 3 to 5 things I want to do the next day. Then I go to sleep, and then when I wake up, I know I do morning stuff, right? I do some exercising and, breakfast and stuff, but from 10 to 4, that's my work day, 10 to 4. And at 10 o'clock, I start on that list of 3 to 5 things, right? And a great work day is getting all 5 things done or getting my whole list knocked off. And a good work day is getting some of that stuff done. I take a lunch break from noon to 1. But the point is, I plan ahead of time. So when I sit down, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing on the computer, right? So it's a strategy ahead of time, right? I talked about strategy yesterday on the podcast. This is part of that, right? Strategizing what I'm going to be doing. Because if you have a plan, and when you sit down, you have a plan to work, you have a much less chance of getting distracted, of falling victim to some weird webinar off in some corner or something that has little to do with what you're trying to accomplish. So these things are very, very helpful, having some kind of a, set routine. And then the third thing that I would say when it comes to a lack of focus is, again, following a routine. Sure, plan out what you're going to be doing the night before, but the other thing that I do is I follow a routine. And I kind of already said that to you, but I want you to think about the routine thing for a second. I work from 10 to noon, and then I take a lunch break at noon to 1, and then from 1 to 4, I work for another 3 hours. So I got a 5-hour work day. Now, at 4 o'clock, I shut it down. It's a wrap at 4 o'clock. Okay, it's a wrap. So what does that mean? That means if I didn't get it done by 4, it's not going to get done until tomorrow at 10. Okay, now that structure, and adhering to that structure, having that regiment right there, what it does is when I'm not working, it forces me to evaluate how I spent my time. Did I spend my time wisely? Was it productive? But when I don't have that kind of regiment right there, when I don't have that kind of strict structure to my time, then what happens is I just kind of feel like it's like I can spend an hour watching cat videos over here, and I shouldn't have done that, but it's okay. It's lost in the wash. I'll make it up later tonight. And it's like you're playing catch up all day long, and there's no clock in and clock out because you work for yourself. So whatever. And it's even worse if you have another job and you're trying to do this on the side. Because what happens is you already have a limited amount of time to get your work done for business, and nothing's ever getting done because you're getting distracted, lack of focus. So it's more important than ever, I think, to number one, consider that there are people intentionally trying to steal your attention away. Get mad about that, right? And guard it selfishly. Number two, plan before you ever sit down at the computer to do any work. Know exactly what you're going to be doing in advance, right? And then number three, operate on a schedule, all right? Those 3 things will really, really help your focus. Anyways, that's all I got, guys. If you're interested in hearing the rest of the problems that people were having, I have a lot to say about it. I have 11 more major problems that people are having. We're going to talk about that inside ECIC group calls. If you're interested in joining, Get over to epicconversions.com, epicconversions.com, epicconversions.com. We're going to be talking about that not tomorrow, but next Thursday. I don't know what that day that falls on. This is like the November the 7th. Today, November the 8th. So, like, basically a week from tomorrow, we're going to be talking about it. Not tomorrow, but next Thursday, we're going to be talking about these problems. So, anyways, that's all I got for today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, you guys. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace now.